Welcome to Scrum Masters Elite _UK. Subscribe to the channel to explore in-depth analyses of rugby and fascinating stories from the matches.
Elliot Daly being handed a starting spot immediately after returning from a serious injury caught my attention. At 33, many would think of stability rather than making a breakthrough, but Daly's case is different. Not only has he made a comeback, but he's done so at a time when the national team is under heavy criticism. When a player has to overcome a serious injury and is then excluded from the team for the first 3 rounds, despite previous strong performances, the feeling of being doubted is inevitable. I see this as an opportunity for him to prove that experience and versatility are never redundant in elite rugby, Daly being prioritized over players like George Furbank or Marcus Smith, in alternate roles, suggests that the coaching staff is seeking a balance between creativity and safety. I don't believe this is an outright denial of the talents of younger players, but rather a reminder that, in times of pressure, trust is often placed in those with experience. However, what excites me even more lies on the other side, the Italy team.
Under the leadership of Gonzalo Quesada, this team no longer carries the image of an easy opponent. Statements that may seem provocative, like claiming England is in panic or no longer respects Italy if made, are, in my opinion, not to provoke but to build team spirit. A team that was once seen as the whipping boys is now looking to redefine itself. I can clearly see that Italy is no longer the old Italy. They put considerable pressure in round 1, played decently in round 2 despite the results not going their way, and were overrun in round 3. But the development process of a team doesn't always follow a straight line. The return of Tommaso, Gianmarco Lucchesi, Stephen Varney, and especially Juan Ignacio Brex provides a foundation for their ambitions. I am particularly impressed with the center pairing of Juan Ignacio Brex and Tommaso Menoncello. The almost instinctive connection between them cannot be built in just 1 week of training. It's the result of time, tactical understanding, and positional awareness.
When they face off against England's new pairing of Seb Atkinson and Tommy Freeman, it is clear that this is not just a battle of skill but also a test of their cohesion. One thing that makes me ponder deeply is the fact that England remains the only team in the 6 nations that Italy has never beaten. Historical milestones carry a huge psychological weight. For Italy, this might be a source of motivation. For England, it could be an invisible burden. Personally, I believe that when a team is in the position of not allowed to lose, they often play with more tension than freedom. For England, players like Cadan Murley, Tom Roebuck, and Seb Atkinson each have their own story. Murley had a less than ideal debut but has shown impressive form at the club level. What I've learned from this case is that a career is not defined by a single poor game. Fans are sometimes too quick to judge, but top-level sports always give a second chance if the player has the patience. Henry Arundel is another example: explosive talent but lacking consistency.
2 yellow cards and 1 red card are not just numbers, they're a warning about discipline. Personally, I believe modern rugby has no room for individuals who shine but lack collective responsibility. The points scored are important, but the intensity of work and accuracy are even more so. Tom Roebuck, with his aerial skills, represents the value of specialization within a system. In modern rugby, every skill can become a strategic weapon. I see that the coaching staff is trying to restructure the team based on the right pieces rather than just relying on reputation. In the midfield, the decision to select Seb Atkinson over Fraser Dingwall is bold. Dingwall is seen as the glue in defense, while Atkinson brings power and directness. I see this as a temporary shift in philosophy. When a team is under pressure, they often turn to strength to create stability. Luke Cowan-Dickey's case also made me reflect. After being substituted early in the loss to Ireland, many thought he would be dropped.
But the hooker position at the highest level requires special experience. Examples like Malcolm Marks, Bombi Mbonambi, Cody Taylor, and Pito Movarka show how crucial stability is in this position. I realize that, in key roles, coaches often prioritize experience over experimentation. Ben Earl is a testament to persistence. From being dropped several times under Eddie Jones to becoming a mainstay under Steve Borthwick, his journey teaches me about perseverance. Not every talent is immediately recognized. Sometimes, it takes time and the right circumstances. Ben Spencer and Finn Smith, in their first starts of the season, are probably under the most pressure. Spencer was once underrated at the international level despite performing excellently at Bath. This makes me think about the difference between club and international environments. Not everyone who succeeds in one setting can easily replicate that success in another. But when the opportunity comes, It must be seized.
Finn Smith faces the shadow of George Ford, who has been the #1 choice for a long time. Ford, at 32, is still an important figure, but a drop in form can happen to anyone. I see this not as casting off, but as the natural cycle of sports. The new generation must be given opportunities, while the older generation must prove their worth again. I understand why many might view Borthwick's sweeping changes as a panic reaction after 2 defeats. But objectively, when a team isn't getting results, change is almost mandatory. The issue isn't whether to change, but whether those changes are based on a long-term vision or just to appease public opinion. If England wins convincingly in Rome, the story will take a positive turn. If they win without convincing, the criticism will remain. If they lose, the pressure will explode. I see the head coach's position right now as walking a tightrope. But it's in moments like these that true resilience is revealed.
What I take away for myself is, in any field, when faced with a crisis, our reaction will shape the future. Panic leads to hasty decisions. But courageously changing, even when criticized, can open up new paths. I believe this match will not only decide the points on the table, but also shape the mentality of both teams for the remainder of the tournament. For Italy, it's an opportunity to break the historical curse. For England, it's a chance to prove they are not panicking, but are undergoing a controlled rebuilding process. Ultimately, what I cherish most in sports is its ability to reflect life. Injury, exclusion, return, doubt, and then the chance to prove oneself, all of these mirror the journey we all go through. I have learned that no position is permanent, no failure is final, and no opportunity should be taken lightly. Personally, I hope that regardless of the result, both teams will play with respect and commitment. Because above all tactics and debates, what keeps fans engaged in rugby is courage, honesty, and an unrelenting desire to move forward.
Wish you all continue to follow and experience the inspiring journey of rugby. See you again.